guys, hope y'all are doing well. Today I just wanted to make a video that reviews a little bit of what we have already talked about this unit. So I'm going to specifically look at the grammar, our when clauses before and after, and then I want to explain a little bit better the homework that I sent you on Tuesday. So give you a clearer idea of what I'm looking for and what to do to practice some of this grammar. So let's go ahead and look at some of the things we've done. So if you have the student book, get out the student book. We're going to be on page 72. Page 72 where it says Lesson B at the top. Great. So Lesson B is where we started looking at when clauses. So when, we know, talks about time. So when tells us the time that something happens. So this when clause says when I have a lot to do, that is the time it happens. When I have a lot to do, what happens? I make a to-do list. So this when clause with the red tells us the time it happens or the situation that something happens in. And then it has another clause that tells you what happens at that time. So our first one, when I have a lot to do, I make a to-do list. This is the time it happens, and this is what happens. Our second one is the same. It says, when she feels tired, she takes a break. So when she feels tired is the time it happens. Then what happens? She takes a break. So the when clause, or the when section of the sentence, tells us the time it happens, and then the second part tells us what happens. Now, we talked about how the when clause can come at the beginning or the end of a sentence. It means the same thing. So, for example, in this first one, it says, when I have a lot to do, I make a to-do list. Or you can say, I make a to-do list when I have a lot to do. They mean exactly the same thing. It's whatever you're comfortable with and whatever is easiest for you and makes sense. Just make sure you are attaching when to the part that tells you the time. It's not, when has to be connected to I have a lot to do, because that is the time it's happening. What happens is I make a to-do list. We would not say, when I make a to-do list, I have a lot to do. Because that when, the to-do list is not causing you to have a lot to do. Having a lot to do is causing the to-do list. So the when is attached to the cause. So when I have a lot to do, I make a to-do list. This having a lot to do is causing you to make the to-do list. So this is the time it's happening. When this happens, when I am in this situation, when I have a lot to do, then I make a to-do list. So when I have a lot to do, I make a to-do list. So make sure that when is attached to the cause or the situation that is causing the other thing to happen. So in the same way, she takes a break when she feels tired. Her feeling tired is causing her to take a break. So the when is attached to she feels tired. Now you practice this down here. So on the bottom of page 72 and number 2, you practice this with these two sentences that you transferred down here. Some of them had when at the beginning of the sentence. Some of them had when at the end of the sentence. So hopefully that gave you some practice with that when. If you have not turned this in or you have not done this yet, do that, practice doing it, send it to me and I will take a look at it. Then we started applying it to your life. We started applying it to you and your friends and family. So down here at the, can't see that. Down here at the bottom of page 73, we did this communicate section for homework last week. I believe it was on Thursday. So here you talked about first yourself, what you do. So you said, what do you do when you have a deadline? So you told me what you did when you have a deadline. What do you do when you have many things to do? You told me what you did there, and so on. So you answered those questions there for you. Then after that, you interviewed 2 people. They could be friends, they could be family, it doesn't matter. But you told me what they did in those situations. So you answered for 2 other people. What do they do when they have a deadline? What do they do when they have a lot to do? And you wrote them in here. Then after you had interviewed people, you wrote me 3 sentences. One for you, one for the first person, and one for the second person. So that gave you 3 more sentences where you said, when I have a deadline, I procrastinate. Or when I finish a difficult task, I take a break. Whatever it is that you do. And then what the other 2 people do. So you could say, when my friend has many things to do, she takes a break. Or when my friend has many things to do, she makes a to-do list. Whatever it is that they did. So for this one, you had 1, 2, 3 sentences. So that was practicing it, practicing those when clauses, and applying them to your life and to people around you's lives. Okay? If you have not done that yet, please take a look at it and send it to me so I can take a look at it for you. All right, so that was our when clauses, pages 72 and 73. Then we're going to look at what we started this week and the end of last week. So looking at lesson C, where we look at before and after. So in before and after, we're looking at the order that things happen, how early or late things happen in relation to one another. So before means that it happens earlier. So something happens earlier than something else. So in this one, it says, before she eats breakfast, she reads the newspaper. So before this event, so she eats breakfast, and then earlier, because before means earlier, so she eats breakfast. Before that, she reads the newspaper. So in this situation, she reads the newspaper first, and second, she eats breakfast. So before she eats breakfast, she reads the newspaper. And then after means it happens later. So after I watch the news, I eat dinner. So I watch the news. After I watch the news, later than that, I eat dinner. So after I watch the news, later than watching the news, I eat dinner. Okay? So this is telling us the order that things happen. Just like when clauses, these before and after clauses can come at the beginning or the end of a sentence. Either one is okay. It does not change the meaning. It just matters that you are connecting them to the correct clause or the correct event. So, oh goodness. So, before she eats breakfast, you're attaching it to the thing that happens later because before means earlier. So you're attaching it to the second event. Before she eats breakfast, she reads the newspaper. And then for after, you're attaching it to the first event or the earlier event because after means that it happens later. So after I watch the news, I eat dinner. Now, you do this already. I have heard all of you say before and after and use it correctly. So just because I'm giving an explanation, don't let that make it more confusing. If for some reason hearing my explanation makes it more difficult, then don't pay that close attention to it. The most important thing you're going to be doing is practicing it. Because the more you practice it, the smoother it is and the faster you can remember, oh, I used before to describe this event because it happened earlier. So as helpful as it might be for some of you to hear an explanation of the grammar, you're really going to understand it and use it faster the more you practice it. So let's do some practice, and That's what you're going to be doing for homework. And that is going to be the thing that helps make it easier for you to use this in your normal life. So for homework you did this section on page 74, number 2, where you were given 2 events and then you made a sentence using before and a sentence using after, all of those in different positions to describe the order that those things happened. So you were using this schedule up here, and so you looked at the 2 events. You said take a shower happens first, get dressed happens second. So the 2 sentences became after Bonnie takes a shower, she gets dressed, and then Bonnie takes a shower before she gets dressed, describing the order that those things happened. Okay? So you did that for these last 3. If you have not sent those to me, please send them to me so I can take a look at it, make sure we're understanding it. I have not received any of those, I don't believe, so if you haven't sent it but you have finished it, please give it to me so I can take a look at it and see how we're doing. Now, on Tuesday, I sent you a homework assignment, and I want to explain that in a little bit more detail to make sure we understand what's happening. So what I want you to do, I want you to think about your daily schedule. So on page 74, you have Bonnie's morning schedule, but I want you to think about your morning schedule or your daily schedule. It does not have to be the morning. Your schedule is going to look different than hers. So your daily schedule or your daily routine. So routine just means it happens every day or most days. So if we look at an example of my daily routine or my daily schedule, we have I wake up, I make coffee, I eat breakfast, I teach a morning class, I have lunch, I teach an afternoon class. Then when I worked not from home, when I worked at school, I would get home around 4. Now that I work from home, I finish work around 4. I feed my dog, I eat dinner, and then later on I go to bed. So this is a normal daily schedule or daily routine for my life. So for homework, I wanted you to write 5 sentences that describes your daily schedule or describes your daily routine. So an example for me, using when clauses. So if I'm using a when clause, I would say, when I get home, I feed my dog. Or when I wake up, I make coffee. Because those things happen at the same time. So waking up causes making coffee. Getting home causes me to feed my dog. Those things happen because the other thing is happening. Then I want to talk about using before and after. So I can say, I eat breakfast before I teach class. Or I eat dinner after I get home. I teach class before and after I eat lunch. Or I eat lunch after I teach class. So just using before and after to practice describing the order that things happen in your life. Okay? So I just want you don't have to write out a schedule like this. You don't have to make a schedule, but if that helps you, that you can do it. And then I just want those 5 sentences that you use to describe your daily schedule or your daily routine. So use some when clauses. When I wake up, I do this. Or when I get home, I do this. And then use before and after to tell me about the order of things that happen in your daily life. Okay? Please send me any homework you have. I would love to check it and see how we're doing. I hope you all are doing well. Our schedule is going to change a little bit in the fall, but it's going to stay the same through the summer. I want to get a little bit of feedback from you and get some information from you. So this weekend, I'm going to send you all a survey. So I'm going to send you a link through Remind to fill out a survey about your schedule a little bit, what you are planning to do for class, and then also to get a little bit of information from you about how you feel about online class or meeting on Zoom and those types of things. So I just want some of your opinions and then figure out a little bit about your plans for the summer. So I will send that to you this weekend. Try to respond as soon as you are able to, just so I can get an idea of how to plan correctly. I hope you all are doing well. I miss seeing you all in class, but hopefully I'll see you soon. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you need anything. All right. Have a good day, guys.